So if you're thinking about selling your home in this dynamic real estate market, there's a few things that are super important. One of them being timing, but what does that timing actually mean? How does that look for you to ultimately get top dollar for your house in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of hassle? Well, we're going to get into 3 things that you should know if you're thinking about selling your house right now. And just as a quick reminder, I'm Chris Erickson. We got Mr. Loren Sanders over there with the Beach Life Group. So if you guys did have questions about selling your house, be sure to reach out. We got your back when making the move here in North County, San Diego. Let's hop into it.
Okay, Chris, so we're talking about selling your home, which is a big, huge thing, right? It's a big asset and it isn't hassle-free. I don't know, whoever will tell you it's going to be hassle-free, it's not going to be hassle-free. There's going to be some challenges along the way. But here's one of the most important things I found over this past couple of years where the market's been really dynamic. The home sellers, say you're thinking of selling in December, January of next year, that's when you're targeting. The home sellers that we've seen do the best, given the way the market dynamics are lately, is the ones that give themselves extra time. So you engage your team early and start building up a strategy to meet the goals that you're trying to get. And then you start, then we start implementing the right tactics to get you where you want to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that whole thing of getting your team ready and just kind of especially in how fast the market's moving right now. Like we were chatting before we even came on here about, like, if you were thinking last year, thinking about selling it in March, or had the thought, let's set up the team in March, let's go live in July. And that's kind of the only conversation you had. Well, that time frame really changed quite a bit. There was 2 different markets from those times last year. So, and it's staying on top of all of that, stay educated and make sure you know what's going on. Not just the market as a whole. You're going to see national headlines. You're going to see local San Diego headlines, but kind of know what's going on in your specific neck of the woods, because every neighborhood's super different, which we preach on this channel. Like block to block could be different, especially with the coast, with all these little different neighborhoods here in North County. It's just a very unique neighborhood.
Condos versus detached. You're right. I mean, all of it is, and really to us, I mean, we're when we're building a team to help folks that we're working for take care of getting their home sold and doing our very best to do the best for them. It all starts with trust, and then we're not going to pressure people through the process to get it done. I know. I mean, I can't believe how many times people, agents will list a house and just put it on the market 2 days later. Well, think about it, I guess, in this way, if you want, in terms of when they spend years, maybe a couple years, creating a $500 million movie epic. They don't just throw it on the market as soon as it's done, and see how it goes. See how there's this time frame where you want to make sure that you have time to build momentum for number one and get exposure. And many things can happen with the flexibility of time that can definitely work to a home seller's advantage. So anyway, it's something really important that's become more important now. I think a lot of agents, it's kind of counterintuitive in a way, because Chris, in our market, like we've seen, we could put your house on the market tomorrow and it could be in escrow by Monday next week. And all of that could take place. But is that really the best that can be done for you? And is it really maximizing this asset that, for the vast majority of us, our home's biggest asset we have? So the goal is really to maximize that.
Yeah, and that's kind of the second thing, is making sure you did all those steps and you had the time to get the house ready, get it kind of out there the correct way. And not just, I mean, you can, if you're in a pinch, yes, you get the house on in that weekend. It's done. We've done it. But the more time you have, the better you could plan, the better you could stay up to date. And maybe, sometimes the market might be not ideal to put on. Maybe it's not the time to sell. And you'll find that having the conversations and stuff with your team and making sure everything's in line. And, maybe next year's the time, or maybe, it's better to just stay where you're at for now. So it really depends on your unique situation. And, it's kind of, you can't paint this broad picture for everybody. So everybody is going to have their own story and their own needs and what they need to do to get them to where they need to be.
Yep. Yeah. In a shifting market, or dynamic is the word I like to use all the time, because it's not just upwards, it's shifting around. Last year we saw some major swings in inventory and pricing. We saw a pretty good price adjustment midway through, after summer. by the time summer was ending, we were seeing some pretty good price drops. So the other part of that, if you give yourself this time and get your team together and start having the conversation, is you might even discover, hey, we better pick this up based on some of the things we're seeing and our timing and what's right for us. Maybe we want to squeeze it a little bit and go sooner, or maybe we want to go later, but at least you have the luxury of doing that versus I've always thought about this when we go look for a home, we have this short time window and we only see what's there right then, so you make a choice. And in a market, in some markets where there's plenty to choose from, that doesn't make a sense. It doesn't make a difference. But ours, it does. That makes a big difference now.
And that kind of brings us to the third thing in timing. When you're selling your house, you're on your timing. You can choose the perfect buyer for you. Do you need a 30-day escrow, 45, 60? How long do you need to stay in your house? Do you potentially need a rent back? Do which we've seen over these past few years where you do sell your house, but you also get to stay in it for a particular amount of time afterwards to work with your timeline so you can once again get to where you need to be. So a lot of people think, selling my house, the day of close, I'm out. That's not always the case. And in this current market where we do have a lot of buyers and a lot of these buyers are competing against each other, some of them may be more willing to offer you what you want specifically. Whereas if we were kind of in where the buyers had control of the market, you wouldn't see that as much. But since we are in a good spot for sellers right now, the timing, your timing, can be kind of a little more specific, and you could mold that offer and what you're going to accept around what you need.
Totally. One of the things we do also during this process is set up a collection so you can see what's happening regularly in your neighborhood. So those are the kind of conversations, we'll be engaging during this process. If it's 5 months, you're going to see what's coming and going in your neck of the woods. And we're going to have conversations. We're going to see what, hey, this one went on and went really fast above asking, so you're going to start to be able to have those kind of conversations and then make the best decision for you. And obviously that's the goal in the end.
And so that timing factor really comes into play, and it's ultimately comes down to what you need. Are you 1 month out? Are you 3 months out? Are you 6 months? Are you 12 months out? It doesn't really matter. It really depends on what your situation is. So if you guys do want to start that conversation early, as a reminder, we are real estate agents right here in North County, San Diego. We got your back when making the move here in North County.